My name is Mike Russo, and I'm the programs coordinator for the Historical Society here in town. And I just want to go through a couple of housekeeping things. Our next meeting after tonight is actually going to be next Thursday, same time, same place, right here. And that's going to be a historic home workshop that is going to be run by, I'm sorry, I'm not used to the mic, but it's going to be run by us as a Historical Society in conjunction with the Stony Creek Museum. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a workshop. If you have a historic home here in town that needs repair, they're going to tell you how you can get funding to do that. So it should be really good, and we're anticipating a big crowd for that. As I said, it's with the Stony Creek Museum. Then in March, on the 11th, our next event will not be here, but it will be at the Willoughby Wallace Library in Stony Creek. If you come, parking's not great there, as you probably know, so you want to get there early if you can. And that's going to be one of our members, Bob Barnett, has written a book called 8 Schools, Campus, and Culture. And what he's going to do is he's going to focus on Brantford schools and the history of Brantford schools. So again, that should be a great program. And we've got some other things coming up in the summer and the fall. So I wanted to encourage you to take a look at our website, which is BrantfordHistoricalSociety.org. It's a new website, and we're really excited about it. And now, tonight, this is my former classmate, Alex Palluzzi, as you probably know. And we went to St. Mary's together, we went to Brantford High together, we played sports together. So I just want to give you a little intro on Alex. You probably know him better than I do at this point, but he's a native of Brantford, and he's currently the Director of Parks and Rec for the town of Brantford for the past 26 years. He is the longest serving active department head in the town. He has 45 years of professional experience in Parks and Rec and has been involved with the Brantford Parks and Rec department for 56 consecutive years. I know he doesn't look that old, but he is. He's well educated in the field of Parks and Rec and holds degrees from a host of colleges and universities, including South Central Community College, Albertus Magnus, Southern Connecticut, where he holds a Master of Science degree in Recreation and Leisure Studies in Recreation Administration, and has completed doctoral work in Education Leadership. He's an adjunct professor at SCSU in the Department of Recreation, Tourism, and Sports Management programs for over the past 16 years, teaching undergrad and grad courses, and currently working with student interns. This guy is busy. He's the past president of the Connecticut Recreation and Park Association. He's also a member of the Connecticut, New England, American, and National Parks and Recreation Associations. He's been active and served in leadership roles as well as hosting and presenting at numerous conferences. Alex is a leader in the field of organic turf management and is an advocate of pesticide-free athletic playing fields and parks and recreation areas. Alex is most proud of serving on the building committee for this Joe Trapasso Community House in honor of the World War II veterans, which just opened in the fall. He will serve as both Parks and Recreation, the building rather, will serve as both Parks and Recreation and the Canubrick Center for all ages. Alex is married to Karen Heatley Palluzzi. She's a pre-K paraprofessional at Murphy School, and they have 2 children, Megan, a BHS and CCSU grad, and currently the program manager at Yale University conferences and events, as well as coach of both dance teams at Branford High and Central Connecticut State. And Dylan, his son, is a BHS alumni who holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the Southern Connecticut State University in Sports Management and is Outdoor Operations Manager at the TPC Golf Course in Cromwell. He's also the freshman baseball coach at Branford, and he was just named the boys basketball coach at Walsh Intermediate School. This is a really busy family. And having grown up in town here, I spent a lot of time in this building, and I see all the old pictures of the way it used to look. Brings back a lot of great memories. And the new building is absolutely beautiful. So I'm sure it's going to provide great service to the town for years to come. But I'm going to turn over the program now to my friend here, Alex Palluzzi. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, Mike. We go back to the St. Mary days, and really glad that you had me here tonight, Mike. Welcome, everyone. This is like live TV. So a lot of friends and family here. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to take you, I can take you down the long road, which we're not going to go tonight. I'm going to give you the shorter version, and then we'll come back, and hopefully all of you can partake in it. But first of all, I want to let you know, if you want to mark on your calendars right now, Thursday, March 12th, which is coming up, we're going to have a grand opening, 3 o'clock open house to 6 o'clock. It's a Thursday evening, afternoon evening. At 4:30, we're going to have the ribbon cutting, and we're going to have light refreshments here. So that'll be the official opening of this new Joe Trapasso Community House in honor of the World War II veterans. So please mark it on your calendars and come and join us. It should be great. You know, when this project started for a new community house, we were trying to decrease the footprint in the town of Brantford. Being Canoe Brook, which actually was Laurel Street School, excuse me, not Laurel Street School, Canoe Brook Center was Canoe Brook School many years ago. Some of you might remember that. So what the town was trying to do was trying to reduce their footprint so that we could all kind of be together. A lot of you might not know this, but back in 1963, when this community house came to fruition, the seniors were here. They were here through the early 70s. And as I said before, our seniors are back home now. In order to be a senior in Brantford, the good thing that happened to me was during this project, I was in my 50s. When you turn 60, you become a legal senior in Brantford. So I've been a legal senior in Brantford for about 1.5 years now, so it feels great. But what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back to when recreation started here. A lot of you don't realize this, but recreation started in Brantford in 1921. So next year we'll be celebrating 100 years of the community houses. There's 5 iterations of the community house. This is number 5. That's my lucky number. But we're going to take you back to number 1. And the history and the origin of the Brantford Parks and Rec Department has come a real long way. Before 1920, not only was there no community house for the town, there was no organized recreational activities. People entertained themselves usually by holding their own sporting events in the Brantford Armory. Some of you might remember that. Or the East Street School, Slaney School Gymnasium, which actually was Branford High School. And when Branford High School was being built, I don't see Al Russell and his wife here, but they actually graduated from Slaney School and went to, which was the high school, and went to the new high school on East Main Street, which was the new Branford High School in 1958. So they were the first graduating class in 1959. A group of concerned citizens organized by the Community Council back on October 13th, 1920 was looking to have some type of recreation in the community. In 1921, the Community Council leased the Henry Harrison House, which was at 960 Main Street, as a community house for 5 years at a cost of $500 per year. Pretty cheap. Now, I did promise my friend Lexi Klarman that I had a few surprises here, and you might not realize this, but I go all the way back to 1921. And if you look up on the screen here, that building goes back to 1726, but that was the first community house in 1921. And if you look up on top here, well, you can see it a little bit. Brantford Community House right there. That's an older picture.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I found these signs that was given to us, to Joe Trapasso, back when we came here from the old community house. That's the original sign that was up on that building, which was right in the center of town. So it was, we're gonna actually hang it with pride here and get it redone once again, that we're in the new building. But that was the #1 community house, which was back 99 years ago. Meanwhile, the Hammer family, a lot of you might know that name in this town, Hammerfield outside here. They were the owners of the MIF in town. They took a great interest in community activities, including the community council. In 1916, MIF began filling in the land on Meadow Street and graded it for a ball field for use by the town and the community council, as is still that way today. At that time, it was considered the best outdoor facility in the state of Connecticut, and in 1932, Hammerfield was deeded to the town of Brantford. Henry Parsons was named the first recreation director in 1924, and he organized youth activities, while two subsequent directors, Paul Rhodes and Dave Kilgore, organized youth basketball and football. They both encouraged adult leagues such as the Brantford Townies, some of you might know, and the Laurels, which were great, like semi-pro teams back in the time. In 1927, another name in Brantford, Frank Kinney Sr., promoted interest in forming some sort of a center for public recreational activities. Concerned with Kinney's intense interest, the Hammer family purchased the first community house, remodeling and presenting it as a donation to the town. This center was located on Harrison Avenue, named Pythian Hall, which was right on Harrison Avenue. This community house served its purpose with classes for crafts, meetings, dances, and charity suppers. Since the building was too small for most sports, these events continued to take place in the Armory. A few years later, the Brantford Community Council, chaired by Frank Kinney Sr., along with the Women's Club, made it possible for the second community house located on Main Street. These women, along with many other volunteers, secured a place in which free classes in sewing, cooking, drawing, and other practical activities were offered. Funding for the community council became difficult during the late 1920s, and the town of Brantford began supplementing the recreation budget. The lease on the Harrison House Community House remained a private organization until a Recreation Advisory Board was appointed. The board recommended that the town finance and name a separate department appointed by the selectmen, and the new recreation department was put in place in 1950. Around 1950, the main community house was moved to Montague Street and named the Dust Bowl. Now, I was born in 1958. I don't recall the old community house, which is right where Asagio's is right now in the parking lot. That's where it was. Right. And we're gonna pop to that slide.
That was a well-light wooden building.
Looks for,
Yes.
See if I can get the right one there.
dancing lessons
Not
there.
there, here.
This is it right there. That's the community house that was on South Main and South Montague Street.
Yeah.
And some people in here might remember it. I don't recall it as a child. I do all the way back, and I do have a really good memory, but I don't remember being in that building. So back in that time, another surprise I have here too also was that we had also, there was the first sign of the original community house, and this was the third iteration of the community house. And I have another little surprise here. And here's the original sign of the third community house, which was on the corner of South Main Street in Montaguese. So we're going to have those redone, which we've had everything redone in this building, and hang them proudly again in this recreation department. After about 10 years, the rising population, the depreciation of the building meant that a new community house was needed. You know, if you go back to the 1960s, a lot of the town buildings were brand new. And here we are, kind of repeating history once again. In '51, Joe T. was appointed Director of Recreation. He saved the town $1,000 by refurbishing the inside of the building. With the help of a dependable group of volunteers, the building was set for a full schedule of events. Joe's work ethic was simple. It was work hard, play hard, and that we were in the best profession that had a lasting impact for so many ages of the community to participate in. I was so honored to be Joe T's guy when he retired. The task was steep, but I lived by Joe's motto, and what Joe did: be realistic, demand the impossible. Joe got together back in those early days. He got the Lions Club involved with painting the old community house with the support of the first selectman at the time, which was John B. Slimey, the Women's Club, the Brantford Community House, and the Garden Club. So many donations came in, the money that was raised for the building. They ranged from 49 cents to hundreds of dollars to $3,000 for a wrestling event, which today it's a lot of money. It was a lot of money back then. But Joe wasn't really, it was great that they made that money, but it was Bernie Page who donated $2. It was John Smith who sold Nightcrawlers for $13. We still have on file those 3x5 cards with all those proceeds to build this new community house. The building got underway in 1961. After they raised $70,000, the town took out a bond issue for another $350 at the time, and the land on which the present community house is located today was donated by the Hitchcock family, which are owners of the Atlantic Wire Company. So it got underway in '61. The spacious building on 2 levels at Prospect and Church was properly named the Brantford Community House, which was the 4th iteration. It was erected and equipped at a cost of approximately $500,000. There was over 800 fundraising projects. On February 4th of 1963, and we just celebrated it just recently, that it's been here 57 years, the community house was open. It was a wintry day. I know my mom and dad brought me down here, and back then at 5 years old, you could only be in the Games for Fun program here. Athletics, you couldn't play till 9 years old. It was a lot different then. Today, we have programs for kids that are 6 months old in this building. So we've come a real long way. People came from all over the area to tour this community house, and many departments went on and built centers just like this. In January 1st, 1993, after 42 and a half years, Joe Trapasso had retired, and he just did a phenomenal job, as I said before. He worked hard. He got the community involved with all these projects, and volunteerism was just huge back in the day. Forward to now, after that many years, 57 years, if you think about it, I was here as a 5-year-old participating. Also, there was a Games for Fun program. We had little scooters in the gymnasium. We had trampolines. Chet Bloomquist, who's in the crowd tonight, was a part of that. He was one of the big leaders back then. And that was really due to the hard work, the motivation of Joe Trapasso, the inspiration from the community support, the Women's Club in town, the Garden Club, which is still involved, which has had a very big part at this point. And then also going back to the World War II memorial in the building. A lot of people wanted to know, if you look on the building right now, there's a couple tablets back, and that's when we named this community center after Joe Trapasso and also the World War II veterans, because back in 1946, the veterans were looking to have a place to be honored when they got out of the war. They wanted recreation. They wanted a place to meet. So that is the story going back to 1980 is when Joe Trapasso at the time and the community got together and they honored the World War II veterans here. If you think about that back then, there was 8,000 people in population and over 1,200 people on the wall just outside the elevator right now. 1,200 people that served in the war back at that time. And so we honored them with 2 tablets on the front of the building, which are now in the entrance when you came in tonight. 36 young kids that lost their lives that are honored here. So we want to remember them. Also, there's a flagpole out there, POW flag. So when you come in the building, we're honoring them also, and also Joe Trapasso who really raised all the funds with the people to do this project. And if you remember on that day, the first selectman at the time decided that Joe did such a great job with rallying the community together that they named the Gymnasium after Joe Trapasso, which it still remains today. Moving forward, 57 years after that, in May, we started to get together about looking to build another center here. The seniors have been looking in town for a place to go, a brand new place. This has probably been on the shelf for over 20 years, in 10 years. And then basically back in 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, it was time to try to build a new community center. Bill O'Brien, a board member, is with us today. Bill was always saying, can we paint the walls? Well, I told Bill that we came a long way from when we painted the walls. The first selectman at the time, Jamie Cosgrove, had a great vision, mentioned that we wanted to bring 2 departments together. We weren't going to throw this building away. It was an asset to the town of Brantford for so many years. A lot of people had a lot to do with this building, and we were going to put some dollars into it. We didn't have ADA compliant restrooms. We also didn't have an elevator. So those are a couple of things that we had to do. So we got together with the seniors and all the residents in town, had multiple meetings, and here we are a couple years later, and we just opened this up. I've been here since September 1st. We opened up the building. Our staff came in October 1st. The building was open on November 12th, and we've been here a couple months, and things are really starting to work out really well. This building is really state-of-the-art from everything that's in it, from the sound system, from the lighting. You can see the activity that was going on in here today. It's just really phenomenal. We now have an elevator, everything is handicap accessible, and it really is really something to be really proud of. We're still working on a couple things that are left with the building. The garden club was here today. They're going to be doing some gardens outside here in some of the areas, but as you can see when you came in, it's really, really busy now. We have basketball tournaments that are going on, a lot of history here. It's our 69th year of a basketball tournament for boys and our 47th year for the girls. It's just a phenomenal facility. I've given so many tours to the residents from in town and out of town. It's really well used, and we're really happy to have it there. I'm going to share a little video right now, if you just bear with me. Show a little bit of the history. Also, I'm just working on this. If you look around, there's many photos of over 50 years. You might even see yourself in some of those photos, and some of the information, citations from the state of Connecticut, citations from in town itself. Let me. It's going to take about 20 seconds or over. If I can just,
You want me to get the lights?
yeah, just shut that down a little bit.
Okay, we'll keep playing with these.
This was done, unfortunately, Joe Trapasso passed away in 2003. This was a tribute to him. And I'll just take you through it.
Hey Joe, been around all through this town, and you know that. Hey Joe, a little shy, but not the kind to let his feelings hide. He's been a man raised in God's hands, and he's done his job so well. He's touched the hearts in many people's lives, and the song is yours to tell. And we're glad that we got to know you. Hey Joe, you've been around all through this town, and you know that. Hey Joe, you are so kind, the kind of spirit that is hard to find. Example of a cheerful nature, a giving word a day, socializing and advising in so many ways. And we're glad that we got to know you. And we're glad that we got to know you. And we're glad that we got to know you. Example of a cheerful nature, a giving word a day, socializing and advising in so many ways. And we're glad that we got to know you. And we're glad that we got to know you. Hey Joe, please understand, there is a time and there is a place. Hey Joe, you were the best. It's not goodbye, it's just time to rest. You've been the man raised in God's hands, and you've done your job so well. Touch the hearts in many people's lives, and the song is yours to tell. And we're glad that we got to know you. And we're glad that we got to know you. And we're glad that we got to know you.
Be realistic, demand the impossible, was Joe's saying. That still remains today. That was Deborah K. Levi, a Branford resident, that wrote that song for Joe Trapasso. Jack Immerdella, town name, classmate of mine, Mike knows him, presented this. Bernie Page. Chief Hollihan, I'm sorry. Old Community House. Hop Nuzzo. Foot Park. Mrs. Crimmins. Brayer Singh. There's Chet Bloomquist on the right. Bernie Page, Chet Bloomquist, Al Garino. Those are the guys that really, Chet and the boys, we call them, really got it done. We're so glad that Chet is still with us. But without those gentlemen and the volunteers that we had in this community, none of this would ever happen. One thing also, too, I wanted to mention tonight. In the crowd, I'd like to first introduce Chairman of the Board of Recreation, a good friend of mine, Paul Criscola, and his wife, Dodie. Thank you, Paul. And also, I also wanted to, I mentioned earlier that I was honored to be Joe T's guy when he retired. Joe was here 42 and a half years. That's a lot to go on. But he was my mentor. He just, he just was a phenomenal man. Hard to fill his shoes. And here I am. I'm really proud that we're the only two directors to be in this department in 57 years. Joe was 42 and a half years. I've been now, this is starting my 27th year, 26 years. And we're really proud of that. I mentioned to you that I was honored to be Joe's guy. But one other person I want to introduce now, back in those times, in the mid-'80s, I started here in 1982 full-time, was a guy named by the Bill O'Brien. Bill and I just celebrated our, some of you heard the story, went on a bike ride, and we decided, a lot of people were talking about, let's have a sports hall of fame. There's a lot of great athletes, a lot of honor distinction in town. And we just held back in November our 32nd year and put in well over 300 people now into them. The Hall of Fame is here. We're going to actually be putting them back in here. The banners were all in the gymnasium, if you remember from before, but we're doing something just outside. As you come in the front area, we're going to be honoring all those once again. Bill started here taking some pictures. Another good friend of mine, he's also on the board, but he really was a big part of myself taking over with his leadership. He was a guy that got things done, changed the whole festival around. He's still involved with our Brantford Festival this time, got it out of the problems that we had back in the 80s, got some organizations, and we're really strong today. And we're actually still meeting right now for the next festival to come up. But I'd like to introduce Bill O'Brien. And first of all, I mentioned this before too. It's really, it's a love that I have here. Joe had a great staff with ourselves. I have a great staff with Vic Amatori, Andrea, Dale Izzo, my assistant. Mighty Sullivan, we call her, Monica Sullivan, Megan. It's kind of unusual. They've been with me over 30 years. That's very unusual that people stay with you that long. They're truly amazing. They work so hard for our community. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my number one fans, my mom and dad, who, here I am headed towards 62. My mom and dad are still with me, knock on wood, healthy, and you can't, my dad, you can't miss him around town at 91 years young. He always says, I tell everyone that. And my mom with their stunning white hair. You know, my parents, when we were younger, all they wanted for us to do was to have a college education. And my dad worked 45 years at Telecom Tomas. My grandfather came over in 1980, immigrated here to North Brantford. They both, my grandfather worked 55 years at Telecom Tomaso, even shoveling stone. And if you remember the crossing of the Telecom Tomaso train, and my dad worked there 45 years, and I'm so proud that he was able to retire at 62. I don't think I can yet, but he still plays golf, and all they wanted was for us to each just get a college degree, because my mom always says they can't take that away from you. They want us to be in public service, and I can say probably that we're in athletics. Kept us out of trouble for the most part, I guess. My brothers are all involved either teaching or in the health field, and you know, it's unusual to have your mom and dad for so long like I did. It doesn't make it, they've been with me so long, but they want us to get an education. And I think what they're most proud of is we got advanced education. And that was really key. And it's really helped us a lot. I was able to now teach at Southern Connecticut State University and with the students there, so it's really been great. And finally, they're not here tonight, but they're actually, my daughter is, as you heard before, is a dance coach, and they're out there, but I got the greatest wife in the world, the greatest kids that I'm really proud of them. They work hard, they get after it, they're involved in the same thing, and we didn't force them to do that. They just happen to do that, and the biggest compliment I get is when people say to me, your kids are so respectful, they work hard, they're great kids. That really makes me really happy. I gave you the short version of the community house here, and there's a long one. But I will say this, I want to say back when we did get together here, I sat on that parking lot a few years ago with First Selectman Jamie Cosgrove, and one thing that impressed me about Jamie Cosgrove was his vision for looking down the road. And I know, you know, if you came in the building, I'm not sure if you all realize this, but when you come in there where the elevator is, all that wood, every piece of wood is the old bleachers that were donated by Danny Cosgrove, his grandfather. So we wanted to make sure we use it. So every other piece of wood, even the columns, every piece of wood in here is from that. So we're really proud of that also. But he said, you know, a lot of these projects in town have been on the burner, and he said, I think we can probably make this happen. You know, your board has looked to get an elevator here, and why don't we bring 2 departments in here, which makes a lot of sense. And yeah, there were some growing pains as we said, but I can say right now, it's really starting to weed out. And one thing I want to tell you too is when we came in here, we came in running hard. This is just coming out in the paper now. We have our spring brochure, and I'm really proud of this. We have 19, just remember 19, we've only been here a couple months, 19 brand new programs coming out. And one thing that we're proud of, we started a couple of years ago, we're out of this building, how are we going to keep our revenues going? How are we going to keep people involved? But we got involved with arts and theater. Some of you have been there, getting kids involved. Our first year of our camp, we were hoping for 40 kids, we got 31. Last year, we wanted to double that, we got to 71. As of February 19th, we have 65 already for this year. And we show professional plays at the school for all ages. And we're going to be working on the seniors next. So seniors are in our plays, but we're looking forward to that. We have the spelling bee come up. If you don't know what that is, we're actually doing it right in the Joe Trapasso Gymnasium. And then it's going to be followed by Mamma Mia this year, an adult one. And we have 6. So we've grown all through the years, and we're really happy about that. But I'm really proud. I told our staff that when we come in here, we want to come in here running, because all the programs that were involved, going back to Joe Trapasso years, we wanted to really push ahead. So I'm really proud of that. I also want to share with you, if you can pass these around. You might want to. This is the picture of the community house at nighttime, or just at dusk. If you can pass that around to everyone, please. Just shut this off. And I'd like to, at this point, Go back to this. I'd like at this point to just really open it up for any questions, because I can talk about a lot of different things that continue to go on, but I told Paul Criscola that I was going to go short tonight. But I think it's pretty interesting if you think about it, that we go back to the original community house in 1921. Here we are in 2020, and in 1 year it'll be 100 years of Parks and Recreation in the town of Brantford. And I think what amazes me the most about this community house too, you know, it's the 5th version. It's a big responsibility to take care of. A lot of people think that this is, you know, everything's here, but we take care of a lot of parks too. But we're really proud of what we put out here, and the seniors have been just awesome. We've welcomed them, they welcome us. We want to continue to do more and more with them, some intergenerational programs. So, you know, we're really looking forward to that, but that's what it's all about. And I'm so impressed by all the volunteers that we still have in town. I met with the garden club today. Baca, if you know, Baca is the part of the art council in town, and we met today. But everyone keeps coming here, and that's keeps coming here to help us, whatever they can do. And I think that's kind of what been great about Branford. I've been around to a lot of other communities and a lot of good things going on, but Branford is just completely just amazes me, you know, with what goes on in this community. And so many people, so many. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my friends, the Klarmans here today. Jeff Klarman was just, and his wife Lexi, I mean, they'll do anything for you. They do so much for the community, and we can't do things without them. I mean, 1988, he's been involved 32 years being a sponsor. First one to pay every year too, so we keep him. You know, Dan Cosgrove, when he was involved too, also was there. But Jeff, I think Jeff is probably almost the only one that is just, he hasn't missed a year yet, you know, so keep coming back for him, right, Lex? But it really is. There's so many, the more I see, the more that I've been around here and I look around, you know, I look at our emergency services, they're just the top. Good friend of mine, Captain Petrostino, was in here. I don't want to embarrass him. I actually went away with him. I wish I stayed away for a while. And his wife, more good friends of ours. But, you know, I was in the building a few years back, and the fire alarm was going off. And I had music playing in the office, and he came up and he knocked on the door. And you know, I thought I was friends with him, and he told me to get the hell out of there, pretty much. But what I'm saying is that, you know, they're at your beck and call. I remember when we came back, he said, I just want you to know that we're ready to protect you tonight. So that's what we want to hear. So, but we work very closely with our emergency services. I mean, Brantford has nothing to be, I mean, I'm so proud of this community, and just for all the people that are in there and all the services and the good people that we have that work here. I think when you work in town and you're raised in town, I think it means a lot more. And so I'd like to open up to anyone for any other questions that I can have. I know we didn't really touch a lot on this building itself, but I know my dad likes to be in bed by 8 o'clock. It's 7:45. And yes, sir.
I just moved into town. You mentioned 300 athletes in the Hall of Fame. I come from a small high school in New Jersey, and we just started a Hall of Fame 2 years ago, but there's 5 men and women who have already gone on to play in professional sports. Are there, I'm sure there are, of those 300, some professional athletes that might come back and tell us their stories?
Yeah, there is. Ours is a little bit different, and we're selfish about that, Bill will tell you. I think our only criticism that we've had over these years is when people get in. But in saying so, we honor anyone that has brought honor and distinction to the town of Brantford, meaning that it's just not athletes.
Got it.
It's been custodians, it's been fans, it's been coaches. Yes, Bill?
We set it up originally so that we would recognize people that participated in sports as either a player, a coach, organizer, a sponsor, or a fan. And either in sports or life after sports is what we honor the distinction.
That's great.
For example, our police chief, retired Bob Gill, here was an athlete who was directed by his own mission. He wasn't the best, he said, but because he became the chief of police in town, and that was really good town as well, he's in our Hall of Fame. At the same time, we put in people that are Bob Dupay. The people don't remember his name, but Bob Dupay was the president of Major League Baseball. He grew up here in Brantford. Jim Bell was the executive director of the nation. I was the executive director of the Olympic Games. So we've had our share of notoriety with the level. We've had some really outstanding athletes, but a lot of them have really brought on to the town as an athlete or in their life.
That's good.
Thanks, Bill. Anyone else have anything? You know, yes. Oh. Yes, ma'am.
Or his kid was playing basketball.
When I was in, what year did they start to raise money for the community house? The first one that was on this spot?
Back in the early 50s, when Joe Trapasso came to Brantford.
So I was in Canoe School, and we used to go around with a little wagon and collect bottles and cans, because at that time you were able to get 5 cents for everything before they stopped doing that. And we would give the money to Joe Trapasso for the community house.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned earlier, I still have those 3x5 cards. There's like 5 or 6 of them. We still have. We're still unpacking, but I do have those, and it's amazing. I mentioned Bernie Page with $2, but
Yeah.
John Smith with $13 for night crawlers. It was, it was just amazing what they did at that time. It blows my mind that this cost $12.15 million. Okay, well, people criticize the fire department for that amount. We spent just as much, and it really blows my mind when we spent $88.2 million on a school. But that's just the price of doing business nowadays. And 60 years, it's amazing what they built, the state of the art back in less than $500,000, and what they do today. And today we were still going through our punch list. Punch list was hundreds and hundreds of items, which we're down to. We're down to probably less than 10 or 15 right now. So we're really getting down there. So we actually were putting some protectors on the doors so that the rain can't seep in here in the storm. And also, one thing I want to mention too, you probably don't know this, but everyone says, "Oh, geez, you're in a floodplain. What are you going to do if there's?" We have 10 areas right here on the south side, the west side, and the north side. I'm sorry, north, south, and the west side, where we have these. Basically, like it protects the building. So if you go right above, see where these doors are? We actually are able to put panels all around where the openings are. We have this ephes, which is around the building, so that the water would have to come all the way up to here. But it's really protected for 75 years. So once a year we have to put them in. So the town really looked into this to make sure that we were going to protect this building. And so that was a big cost to do that. If you remember back in Superstorm Sandy, the water came in, it was 26 inches up to the building. It came within about 8 inches from coming into the gymnasium floor, but they changed the plane here, so we're in really good shape right now. And this also serves as a shelter after a storm, but if anybody remembers Hurricane Gloria, I was here in 1985. I can remember the captain was here somewhere. I was a little kid then, but I remember Chief Ahern, ex-Chief Ahern, who was bringing in he was bringing in gas cans, and we were filling with a generator just to get power here. And we had over 300 people here. That's how we got our first TVs here in the old building. It was just amazing. But we're able to, this building will be here another 50, 100 years. Joe Trapasso said back then he honestly built it as a bomb shelter almost. I mean, that building, there was nothing wrong with this. That's why we stayed within the old confines of the building. We're in the new type of the building, but it had such great bones in this building, so that's why we kept it here. And if you get a chance to look at the gymnasium, we have now an overlook. It's a professional skybox. There's plenty of people up there watching the games today. Yes,
I
Paul.
think it's important that you talk about the energy efficiencies of the new building.
Yeah, my mother complains that it's cold in here all the time. Yeah, so, I mean, again, the energy efficiencies with the windows obviously cut down on a lot. Also, when we're outside of this, like right now, this room is calling for the light that it is, but during the daytime, if the lights are on, actually, these are sensors right over here. There's a sensor here that will not keep the lights on. If there's a building, it'll adjust it. Hearing impaired, we have those antennas up there, so for the hearing impaired also here. Hopefully, mostly you've been able to hear me tonight, I hope.
How about
And-
solar?
Actually, solar, not in this building, but we're moving towards that. There's a green bank now that we're actually, they're visiting a few facilities. One is this facility and also our outside facility in the parks. So we're looking to, everything's LED, energy efficient lighting. I mean, there's, I always thought too, this is my, thought I was really well educated, which I am, but when I thought about a fire, and there's a fire at the community house, what happens now is I figured, okay, there's a fire, all the sprinklers come on. Doesn't work that way. So basically, what's so great about this is that if there's a call here to the community house, when it comes in on the CAD, it'll say community house, but it'll say lower multi-function room closet. It details it all the way down, so when Captain Petrosino's on his way here, he knows where he's going, and he knows where to bring everyone, which way to attack the building. And then the kind of good thing about it is also heat detectors. So if there's too much heat, it gets to a certain point. I'm not sure what that number is. Gee, if it's like, I don't know, 160, whatever, I'm not sure what it is. 160 degrees, for what I know about that. But again, it just goes to those areas. So, I mean, but I didn't realize all the pressure. There's 640,000 gallons ready to just like attack this building. Meaning that the pressure from the road and the water coming in, it's just really fabulous. So that's what I'm saying. You don't see some of it. There's so much, in the lighting, the sound system throughout the building. It really was really first class. So I wasn't, if there's one thing, Jamie always teases me and he says, you always bring it up. I wasn't sure I was really happy with the floors because Joe and I would not be happy with the way the floors are, but we're working on them now. But what's great about them, they're so easy to clean. So when we have parties in here and birthday parties, we're able to clean it up. But I mean, it's just, but we're really happy because it shows a lot of the integrity of the building. And like you said, if you go down the hallways, you'll see the wood from the bleachers, and every piece is from those bleachers. Yes, sir.
I'll yield to the gentleman.
Well, I was just wondering if you have anything, plan on having anything else in the gymnasium besides sports?
Yes, good question, and I'm going to do a little trivia here too. So, have you heard of pickleball?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you know what pickleball is? Does everyone know what pickleball is? Okay, Maura, you're the only one that knows it. No, So anyways, pickleball basically is in between tennis and ping pong. That's the best way to explain it. We have 4 courts in the community house right now. We used to have 3. We also have them at Foot Park. And seniors love it. So right now we have classes on Monday and Thursday and Friday, and also the seniors have class in the afternoon, and it's pretty physical. You come and watch it, and it's competitive. So it's really popular along there. We had it here before we opened this building up, and we have it back here. And do you know where it was, where pickleball came from? Does anyone know? It came from Florida, okay? Do you know why they call it pickleball? Joe, I told you this in Florida. Actually, the gentleman that invented it, he had a dog named Pickles. That's where the pickleball came from. So, but it's a great upcoming sport, and yes, also in that gymnasium, not only do we have, the kids love to play free play basketball when they can, but we have tournaments going in there. You probably don't know this, but the girls and boys basketball teams, which had over 22 on each team, all their practices, all their games were played here. It was, if you came in early tonight, they were like sold out. It was people, I mean, and we have more grandparents that come to games than parents, because a lot of times both parents are working. They come here, so it's really busy. We had toddler classes there this morning, so we have kids, again, 6 months old to 4 years old, and they're doing active games. We had afternoon adventure. We have an afternoon adventure program after school. We have over 30 kids in that program. They were in there just before basketball. We can play volleyball in there, we can play badminton. We can host an event. I know I talked to the superintendent of schools, Hamlin Hernandez, about having an art show there on some day. He's trying to get it together to have a day where we can have an art show on one night and then leave it up for one day. So we're looking at that also. So we can host other events in there. We can have over 700 people in that area at one time. But everybody wants to also, they want to shoot hoops. So we have free play basketball on weekends. One thing you might not know is my guys come in at 6 o'clock. Right now they got an A-. I'm trying to get them, Joe T and I always look for perfection. I have a young crew coming in, they're doing a really good job. And they said an A-. I said an A- is good, it's a 90. It could be a 92, so we're headed in that direction. But we have a routine every day, that's how I was taught from Joe. And they come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, led by Marcel Butch Cody, who's been with me for many years. And it's really been a nice change in this building. We're pretty much doing it, everyone will say we got another full-time person. We did, but we already had that person already. It was a body that we had. We just got it for the full day now. And we have some part-time employees that come in the afternoon, so we're filling it out. But we're open from 6 in the morning. This is very unusual. Our office is open 7 o'clock for registration. No one, whether it's in the area, the state, you find it for me, I don't know. We're open 7 to 5 to register for our programs, from 7 to 5. So someone's here at 7 o'clock, Monday through Friday. You can also, we get a lot of our registrations online, 24 hours a day you can register for our programs. And we're here till almost 10 o'clock every night. Saturday's the same thing, 6 o'clock to 10. So we're open 16 hours a day. Sundays at this point right now till about 11, 12 hours right now with our tournaments going on. We host birthday parties, tons of town meetings right now, and we're trying to get set, but if you come pretty much every night, we have a lot going on. We usually get one night a week so far where it's a little bit light, which happens to be tonight with our meetings. But every night there's a lot of different meetings, and all the town meetings, even planning and zoning's here. They were here to midnight the other night, so we're open, kind of late for those too. So a real great active building. I think everyone's been really receptive and happy with it. And it's going to last a really, really long time for the community. And we just want to continue to keep it busy and keep it clean too, which is a challenge. Yes, Mr. Matt.
Earlier, I was just going to echo the sentiments that Alex did about it. Brantford being a great place, in large part due to all the volunteers. And we hope that people who move to town, right off the bat will get involved. We're glad to see new people out for these events. And it was really nice to see the canoeing slide that was up there very briefly. That was probably you, and maybe that was me. But my question, you mentioned the spelling bee. Are you going to do the spelling bee, or is that moved to the schools these days?
We're talking, my mom still does the spelling bee, but no, we're talking about spelling bee as in arts and theater version of spelling bee.
The Putnam County one, right? I saw that in the flyer. Good.
Yeah, we're actually going to do that right in our new gymnasium there. So the gymnasium is just new skylights. Funny thing is, we have 9 roofs now, and I'll just tell this little story. No, it's on TV, but it's pretty funny. Jamie and I were talking a couple weeks ago, saying, you have to, in a new building, you're going to have a leak here or there just to make sure everything is tightened up, and you get in the first year you find out what you got, how it works, what the costs are, and all that. We went from 3 roofs to 9 roofs, meaning that any of the entranceways we have, those are considered roofs. So we went from 3 to 9, so 6 more. 8 of the 9 roofs we never had a problem with. The one that was the old one, we had a problem with all 8 of the roofs at one point, but the old roof on the gymnasium didn't have a problem with it. So it's just kind of funny. That just happens with new construction and attic construction, but we're really happy about that. It was kind of smart on the town's part because we had 11 years left on the warranty for the roof above the gymnasium. I've been up there, and they're almost done up there with some of the punch lists, but if you went up on top of the community house, on top of those roofs, it's like another city up there. It's amazing. And they did a really good job through the revitalization committee to kind of hide everything as best they can around there, but it's amazing what is up on top of that roof. So, there's no boiler down here, everything is up on the roof. So it's just a lot to take care of. But.
Anything else? Oh.
Just one follow-up question. How do the basketball for the girls and boys differ from what goes on in the schools?
Meaning that,
Are these leagues, or are they run independent from the schools, or?
Yes, so basically, the school teams I was mentioning to you earlier, they're redoing their gymnasium and their pool right now, and they're doing the lockers, so they have no home for like a year and a half. And one thing that we did, we went into the schools and kind of took advantage of them. Don't tell the superintendent that. But he knows that, meaning that we went in there and we had wraparound services, so it made a lot of sense. Kids are already there, and we just didn't have sports, arts, theater, pottery, whatever it may be, jewelry making. So we tried that a couple of years ago when we weren't here. It worked out well. Even some of the sports programs, we're still going into the elementary schools and middle school because we said we're going to continue to do that because now we're utilizing the gymnasium for those other sports groups. And the other ones that you saw tonight, those are all travel teams and tournament teams. So the boys tournament's amazing. Started in 1951, 69 years. Next year will be the 70th year. And the girls is 47. Why did the girls start so late? It was basically back in 1972, Basically Title IX, pretty much got there. So now we have a tournament for everyone. So that they've been going on, and we still get teams from all over the area. They're running 3 games tonight, all day on Saturday and Sundays for 5 or 6 weeks. John Marturo, good friend of mine, remembers that.
Yeah.
Right, John?
Yeah.
So, so those are separate from the schools. That's why, pretty much recreation, all the sports we have, and we work together because we have camps for every sport, dance, cheerleading, no matter what it may be, and they run through us.
Alex,
Yes, Mom.
One thing about the gymnasium, we voted.
Yeah, that's another good point too. You probably don't know this. This year we had this year election is going to be really major league coming up, but we had the election here last year, and that's kind of was one of the first official things we had in the building because we opened, I said, November 12th. It was just the week before. So the gymnasium had all the voting, worked out wonderful in there. So the voting for the first district is here, and we also had to utilize this room also. We had absentee ballots in the other room, so we utilized that. So, but we expect it. I'm actually having a meeting with the register of voters next week because it's going to be a pretty big election. There'll be a lot different numbers this year. I think it'll be a lot. Anything else?
I'm coming to take the microphone. Alex, thanks very much. What a great talk about the history of the community house, Joe Trapasso and Alex himself. My name is Matt Radulski. I'm the president of the Brantford Historical Society. As I tell people, I left the room for a minute and got elected president. But I've worked with Alex for years on programs through the support he gives to Park Memorial Park, where I'm a volunteer, and he's done a great job for us there too as well. On behalf of the Historical Society, first our thanks to Alex for agreeing to put this together. Obviously this took a lot of time to put together and to research, so thank you again, Alex. Okay, see, we got him 2 rounds of applause. Thank you also to Mike Russo for putting this together and really pulling a lot out of Alex, and also setting up a great schedule of events coming up throughout the entire year. If I can ask, how many of you are members of the Historical Society at this point? Raise your hand if you are, please. If you're not, please see Josh Russo. Josh, can you raise your hand for information on how to join up? You'll be supporting not only programs like this, and we sometimes have to pay for speakers because they're traveling a long distance. I think we got Alex on the cheap this time. But also for maintenance of the Harrison House and all the educational programs we run for all of Brantford's public school 3rd graders every year. So please see Josh if you're not a member and would like information on how to join. Please also take a minute to look at the displays. While I was kind of wandering around in the back, I took a close look at some of the photos there, and they show you what Alex was able to show you, but you get to stop and really look at it and look for familiar faces. Some of them faces that are here, but from many decades ago. And finally, enjoy the refreshments. So everybody, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
and have a great evening.
Hey Joe.